Hello everyone, welcome to the GeoEcologist. I am Dr. Krishnanand and you have been watching my videos on various topics of geography and environment on channel The GeoEcologist. If you are new to our channel, definitely go to our playlist section and check for yourself the earlier videos on our channel. And also, if you like these videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also please share the videos with others as well. Now, in today's session in political geography, we are going to learn about a very interesting and important theory which is supposed to be the benchmark theory or the building block of political geography. That is the organic theory of state given by Friedrich Ratzel, the German geographer. And also the concepts like Lebensraum and social Darwinism we are going to discuss in this particular session. So watch the video till the end to understand the gist of the matter about this particular organic theory. So now, let's understand the details of this organic theory of state and also the concept of Lebensraum. So if you can see Friedrich Ratzel, 1844 to 1904, this particular German geographer, German scholar, ethnographer also we say because his work is also referred in sociology and anthropology. So if you observe, his concept of Lebensraum became a very important concept in political arena in 1901, the concept of living space. So if you observe organic theory, the word itself is organic. So what is organic theory of state? It means that state also behaves like an organism. So if state starts to behave like an organism, it means that we need to look into the nutrition and growth of a state. And now what will the state eat to survive, to grow? So that is where the expansion of the state, the idea of nutrition of the country or a state is the territory that it claims for its sovereignty. This is supposed to be its food. So this kind of idea was there behind this organic theory of state given by Ratzel, and it was largely utilized by Adolf Hitler to justify his ruthlessness expansion on Nazi Germany that you remember. So the influence of the Darwin, which we say social Darwinism, which we are going to also look into this lecture later on, and Ernst Haeckel, zoologist, these two people were the main influencers on the minds of this scholar Ratzel. So what you observe? He published many articles and books during the last part of 19th century, which became the foundations of political geography, and that's why he also is sometimes referred to as father of political geography or father of modern political geography. So if you look at his work, he produced Foundations of Human Geography in his 2-volume work, which we know by the name Anthropogeography, Human-Centered Geography. And this was published in 1882 and 1891. Then in 1896, he published this 3-volume work, The History of Mankind, in which he talked about how human beings evolved, the developmental aspect, the political aspect, and then the great work called Political Geography came all the way in 1897, in which these concepts of organic state and all these things were given. Now when we come to 1901, then social Darwinism and this concept of living space, the Lebensraum, state behaving like human beings, state behaving like living being, this concept was further promulgated, it was expanded in 1901, and further it gave impetus to other scholars like Kellen, Mackinder, Ellen Churchill Semple and several others, and these scholars took the way forward further looking into the various aspects of political geography. So if you observe, the organic theory of state will resemble one more theory that we study in physical geography, that is the cycle of erosion, which also has 3 stages: youth, mature and old. This is how a living form goes from life to death. So this is again the same idea based on Darwin's idea. So from youth stage to mature stage to old stage, how a state grows and emerges big and then it again collapses. So if you observe, the 3 stages are youthful state, mature state and old state, and they have distinct criteria and characteristics to be understood. So if you observe population growth, stable cultural identity is the youth stage, and observe it if you see in the European situation, if you see Mediterranean around areas, from Greco-Roman civilization till present, you'll observe how it has gone from youth stage to mature stage to old stage. Then population stability and cultural evolution is the maturity that you say, right? And then comes the last stage, that is where population starts to decrease and cultural identity starts to break down. This is how empires have had their developmental history. So if you observe through Greco-Roman civilization, civilization, look at this particular part of Europe. Once this entire land was under Roman Empire, and then it collapsed from here, and this area was taken up by Byzantine Empire. Later on it was taken by Ottoman Turks. So all these civilizations in the European region was based on this expansionist approach, and then further maturing and then further declining. So this kind of theory holds true in some sense in the European history. So this is where the idea was in terms of organic state theory. So if you observe, the organic theory of state developed by Ratzel has certain criteria and assumptions. And because it was Germany, you can see here Germany and its neighboring country and what Germans planned. So what you observe, the first criteria is the state as a living organism. So the state should be considered or seen as a living organism with its own needs, its goals and purpose. Like we have our own goals and purpose in life as living forms. So this organism should have ability to grow. And how it will grow? It will grow and adapt to the changing circumstances in the same way like human being does, or any animal does, or any life form does. So this is the prime principle. Then if you observe, control over territory and borders, very important. So the state should have control over its territories and borders. It should have its sovereignty, and its size and power should be proportional to the population and resources. This is very important criteria. And also it's said that it should have ability to expand or contract its borders as per necessity. This is where again living form, you can picturize how living form can change its territory, its shape, its physicality. This is something which is very important. And then further you see is strong central government. Like we have strong central nervous system, we have a circulatory system. So we have an organized body. Similarly, a country or a state should have an organized body with a strong central government. So this strong central government represents what? It represents the power of decision making, taking actions. So government should be responsible for ensuring the security and welfare of citizens and preserving the territorial integrity of the state. Right? That's where centralization principle lies here. Then further, if you observe, competition and conquest. So the state should be seen as engaged in competition and conquest. If you remember biogeographic concept, the concept of living forms having competition, and this is one way to look into states as well. So if you observe, this competition should lead to the growth and expansion of a state, and also much like process of natural selection in evolutionary biology given by Darwin. So influenced by Darwin comes the picture social Darwinism. So social Darwinism is influence of Darwin's concept of evolution of species and natural selection, and also the survival of the fittest on society, on the state. So this is something which came into being. Now let's observe Germany and its surroundings in the map, and what Germans did. We know that it tried to expand and annex all the areas around during the Second World War, and this is where this theory was the influencer behind the idea of expansions of Germans. Now if you find social Darwinism as a concept, so this was major influencer on Ratzel's ideas. So Darwin has a great influence. The state was an organism and it had to grow and expand in order to survive. So it means expansion for survival was must for a state. This is where the must or the mandatory picture comes into the being. So if you observe, the idea was in line with contemporary scientific thought of evolutionary biology, and we have talked about Darwin and Haeckel and several others. So they all talked about the life forms, and exactly we should replicate these life forms in terms of our governance as well. So this idea of Darwin was perceived as the rationale behind the lawmaking of the state, the governance of the state, and also expansion of the state. So if you observe, the term Darwinism was first coined by Thomas Henry Huxley in March 1861. And when it was coined, when he was reviewing the work of the Darwin, that is Origin of Species of 1859. And then subsequently, social Darwinism came into the picture all the way in 1877. So if you observe the article, The History of Land Holding in Ireland, this is for the first time where Joseph Fisher used the word social Darwinism. And then it was published in Transactions in Royal Historical Society as well. And since then, many scholars improvised their own thoughts, like Herbert Spencer, like Ellen Churchill Semple, and several others we have studied in earlier theories as well. And this led to the idea of geopolitical theories, which are also called the classical theories. So if you observe here that this theory was the main rationale behind the capitalism which was promoted. We say laissez-faire capitalism, free-flowing capitalism, and political conservation in Europe. Also, what it led to was class stratification, justification. It meant what? That naturally inequalities are there amongst individuals. And it's those individuals who survive are the fittest ones to govern, to rule. So it means weakness is inherent in living beings is the main idea behind this thought. And then what you observe is the attempts to reform society through state intervention or other means would therefore be intervention amongst nature's plan. So if we are changing the society, it means what we are doing? We are intervening inside the natural plan. So less intervention is more natural. This was the idea behind promotion of state doing good if they are doing it for the survival of the fittest. And then further you see poor were the unfit. Naturally, not sociologically. This is what it promoted. So they should not be aided. The struggle for existence and wealth was a sign of success. So people who are wealthy, who are powerful, should be promoted more. This is an idea embedded in this particular thought. And if you observe American domination on South American, Caribbean states and several others, many times this have been criticized and commented in the anti-developmentalist thought processes as well. So if you observe the societal level, social Darwinism was used to justify understanding of the philosophy and rationalization for imperialist people, colonialist people, racist policies. And remember, a section Anglo-Saxon or Aryan cultural being the superior culture comes from this idea of the stronger survives, the stronger rules, the survival of the fittest. This is the natural selection, and this is what is influencing the society and governance. So this is what led to the Nazis' work. So if you observe further, certain facts and consequences because of this theory. So if you observe first is the expansion of political geography. So the root of Ratzel was in geography, where the state was conceived as organic, and also it led to the expansion of physical geography and relationship of geography with politics. This was the first idea. Then if you observe influence of the social Darwinism on Nazis' ideology, the living space, Lebensraum, and it justified expansionist policy during World War II. And then further, if you observe criticism of nationalism, understand one more thing, that many times Ratzel's organic theory of state was seen as criticism of nationalism as well, as it emphasized on need for a stronger centralized government, and importance of the state was as a unified organism rather than collection of individual ideas. So it said that we cannot have collection of individual ideas, rather than one idea should prevail, one organism should prevail. And then if you observe connection to environmentalism also, it's sometimes thought because it tries to observe the natural order. Right? It justifies the natural selection process. And then if you observe, it became the predecessors to the many other geopolitical theories of Kellen, of Hosseffer that we have talked, and many other theories like Mackinder's Heartland theory, Rimland theory, and several other political geostrategic theories came later on, which had imprints of this particular theory. So that's why social Darwinism, Lebensraum, and organic theory of state became really the foundation stones of political geography. So what you observe, the relevance of this theory and criticism of this theory in today's world. So relevance of organic theory of state can be said to be limited in today's world. Why? Because the theory is outdated and it has been discredited. Why it has been discredited? Because the ideas of social Darwinism does not exist anymore in the way it was thought to be, because it does not reflect the current understanding of state and its relationship with citizens and environment. The world has changed. Now, however, some aspects of Ratzel theory still hold true to relevance in certain areas of the world in certain ways, and it is discussed today. For example, the idea of state as a living organism with its own needs and goals is still used in political science and political geography, in understanding in international relations, and the behavior of states is analyzed using this theory many times. Also, if you observe, Ratzel's emphasis on relationship between geography and politics has also a lasting impact and continues to be studied in the field of geopolitics and geopolitical theories. Now, what is noteworthy here, that rejecting harmful and discredited ideas that are central to this particular theory is very important. So, rejection of imperialism, rejection of social Darwinism, things related to it is very important here. And in today's world, when it has changed with technology, with times, we have seen the world becoming global, glocal, these phenomena of integration of the world in different ways. What you're observing here is the idea is to promote equality, equity, fairness, compassion, intergenerational and intragenerational equity, sustainable development. So if you want to look into this, you need to reject the wrongdoings of this particular idea of social Darwinism, and that led to the problems in the world which we have seen through the historical development. So this is what we say is the idea of removal of discrimination, violence and justification in the name of natural selection and survival of the fittest should not be done. So now, when we have learnt about the various aspects of this particular organic theory of state, Lebensraum, social Darwinism in today's session, in the sessions to come, we'll be talking more on other aspects of political geography, electoral geography and several others. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, keep watching, learning and sharing our videos, and for our paid courses, you can visit our website TheGeoecologist.com, or also you can download our study app, that is The GeoEcologist, from your Play Store. So all the best wishes to all the learners. Take care.